What's going on, listeners with attitude? Welcome to another very special edition of MWA Presents. I don't know, we don't really have a name for this topic yet, but an MWA review, just kind of shooting off the hip, shooting from the hip on our thoughts of some news or information, some quick reviews of stuff that just dropped. And tonight we are going to be talking about the finale of Stranger Things. And man, I think that there's a lot of very mixed emotions about this final episode, and I think that there was a lot of emotions on the penultimate episode as well. And there's a lot to discuss, a lot to dive into. We have been gaining so many new subscribers. For those of you who don't know who I am the host with the most, Mr. Joe Mama, and joined with me, as always, my brother from another mother, the legendary bearded kaiju himself, Mr. Stolapi Poppy, Eric Stolp. It's like stop with an L. Eric, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot to dissect here, a lot to talk about. Mixed feelings, and not in a positive way, honestly. Have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things that remind me of previous series that this kind of brought bad memories about, and it's not a good thing, and it really sucks, but yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, glad to be here with you and dissecting this really pop culture kind of series that's been going on for quite a while, actually. So we haven't done anything like this before, so it's really good to kind of go into that. We're doing a lot of more of the geek fandom, nerd fandom kind of things. We want to do a lot of this stuff, so it's gonna be fun to talk about this and really pick your brain, because I think we are pretty like-minded for the most part, and it's be interesting to see what your thoughts are compared to what my thoughts are. So
I agree. I guess before we get going, I should say, if you have not seen the final season of Stranger Things, I would avoid this, because we are going to be talking spoilers and everything that happened. Maybe not like a super deep dive, but a deep enough dive to where we're going to be talking about things that happened. So I would probably watch the final episode first, and then come back and take a peek at this episode. Yeah, come on back. Bring it on back.
Come on back. Yeah,
back that thing up. So okay, here it is. Final warning, guys. Spoilers on the finale of Stranger Things in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, before we get going all the way into our thoughts and reviews of the finale, tell me, I want to break down each season real quick. Tell me your thoughts on season 1. Did you like it? Did it hook you right away? What are your thoughts on it? Go ahead.
Yeah, so real quick, I actually didn't get on board with Stranger Things until almost season 3, honestly. Thought nothing about it. Heard talks around and just never kind of, pickled my fancy, I guess. And then all of a sudden I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. My niece was watching it. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Watched all of first season, and I was hooked. I will say I was hooked. I gave it a bad rap for no reason. And I was like, dang, this is really good with kids and just supernatural things going on. I was like, this is cool. The Demogorgon was really awesome. So yeah, it definitely got me hooked for sure. The characters were interesting, and yeah, it was really fun to watch and kind of be a part of that. I was like, okay, great. I'm ready for more. And yeah, it was just kind of going on a uphill battle with that and continuing on. But yeah, I did like the first season for sure.
Same. I don't have much to add. This first season was really good. Hooked me. The suspense of, where did this Will character go? And you're just finding out more things as every episode goes on. I thought the show did really well with kind of leaving you little things of bait and little crumbs to follow. I thought that was really cool. You could tell that they had an idea, and that it was, I don't want to say like super fleshed out, because I think that there was a lot they could have expanded on, which I think they did in later seasons, but they definitely had their idea. and they knew what they wanted to do, which I thought was really great. And I think it was executed very well. I think season 1 was very, very good. And obviously, after season 1, we go into season 2, which I'll go first on this one. To me, season 2 was a little bit, I don't know if underwhelming or just not as interesting to me. Though in hindsight, season 2 did establish a lot that would be fleshed out into the later seasons. I don't know why season 2 didn't really hit super big for me. I still enjoyed it, and it still, I don't know, triggered something or had the neurons firing to where I was like, okay, I'm still hooked, I'm still interested. I just don't know if I don't know if the story or what it was exactly didn't hook me as much as the first one. So season 2 left a little bit to the imagination for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think the second season for me was just a lot of filler and a lot of just like you said, establishing a lot of things that you wouldn't honestly see until maybe 2 seasons later. So obviously they were building for something. They had an idea, and that's great. That's awesome. But you just didn't know. So we went the second season just like wanting more. There just wasn't a lot. Obviously, they did a lot of character development, obviously, with Elle and 11. Just kind of her finding herself, trying to get out of that thinking process of her not being this lab rat anymore, and just kind of, experimenting and doing different things and getting out of the house and experiencing life, honestly. So it was very underwhelming for sure. Not a lot going on. But it was the building blocks for what we saw later on, and obviously it was a big building block for obviously season 3, because we had new characters come in who actually were transferred into season 3. So that was a kind of a big thing, and they became very big parts of season 3, honestly. So it wasn't very, it wasn't all gold and sparkles and diamonds and everything and all that kind of stuff that you really want out of a season, but it was just kind of more of the building blocks. So it was just kind of a mid kind of season for me.
You're talking about season 3. Go ahead and give your thoughts on season 3.
Yeah, and season 3, it obviously picked up. Like I stated, they brought in these new characters from 2, brought it over to 3. Some really interesting characters that really held that story and really kind of pulled you in. Obviously, Billy coming in was a big character in the season, obviously with his little sister Max, which obviously would go on to stay in the party and in this series, because obviously was a fan favorite. And that overall season was awesome. It was really great. Doing a recent kind of run through again before the new season kind of made me reappreciate it, because the first time me watching it, I didn't appreciate it / I mixed seasons 2 and 3 together, and it kind of jumbled together, which, I mean, they kind of were, honestly, like they just kind of went right into each other. And so actually rewatching it and just everything that went on, it was actually a really great series and season, honestly. And just kind of everything that was going on, it was action packed, a lot of things going on. Al losing her powers at the very end, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. And just the whole story with Billy and Max was really great. So it was a definitely step up from the previous season of season 2.
That's something I've been wondering about, because I told you before that season 3 I think was my favorite, and I'm beginning to wonder now if season 3 was my favorite because I was let down by season 2. So I wonder if season 3 was such a step up to me that's why I loved it so much. I echo everything that you said. I really did like, specifically I want to talk about, I liked the character Billy. I liked his arc from season 2 to season 3. I was really sad. Like, everybody that had this reaction when Eddie dies next season, I kind of had that reaction when Billy died because I was a big fan of his character, specifically the actor. I believe you pronounce his name Docker Montgomery. I liked him because, as you guys can see right here over my shoulder, I am a huge Power Rangers fan, and he played Jason the Red Ranger in the 2017 Power Rangers film. So I had been kind of following his career since then, or maybe a little bit before, and so I was a fan of him. And I was excited that he was in this show that I had been watching, and so I was kind of sad that he died, but his story was very good. And the ending of season 1, there was a lot of emotion, and it was very happy. You know, Will returns, and you have like this feel good whatever. I honestly can't remember really too much what the ending of season 2 is, which is why I say that it's my least favorite, because I feel like it's very forgettable. Season 3, you also have a very powerful emotional ending with what turns out to be not just the death of Billy, but his sacrifice. And you realize that, hey, he actually did love his sister. And it was that bond that kind of broke that spell of Vecna / the Mind Flayer. And I just really enjoyed that arc, I guess, for lack of a better terminology. And you really start fleshing out more that there's more going on in season 3 behind the scenes that you're not familiar with yet, which ultimately in season 4 we're really introduced to the general of the Mind Flayer. If the Mind Flayer is, Lord Zed, Vecna is Goldar or whatever. He's the Mind Flayer may be the one pulling the strings or responsible for everything, but Vecna is really the one that is the face of the villain. And he's really established. And honestly, moving on to season 4, I think that they did a very, very good job of telling that story of Vecna, of him coming after Max, and even her struggling emotions and feelings, and in a way, maybe even her being unstable mentally, all because of the loss of her brother, and her struggling to come to terms with, hey, wait a minute, I thought this guy was just a jerk. I thought he hated me, but then really at the last possible minute, find out, no, Max, I love you. You're my sister, and I'm sorry, but I was afraid, and I chose all the wrong choices and made all the wrong decisions, and I was treating you like crap because of my insecurities. And they never had that kind of come to Jesus moment where they were able to make peace. And you see how that kind of weakened her a little bit, or left her vulnerable, maybe is a better word, in season 4. And I thought season 4 did a fantastic job of fleshing out Vecna and the story and the mythos, and the penultimate and ultimate final episodes of season 4 I thought were amazing. They were climactic and emotional, and you're just like, holy crap, what is going to happen? The whole season, I mean, it was almost, Max running, and that running up that hill song. I mean, it turned an okay song into like a total hit, brought it back to the charts after 30-40 years not being, and it's just, oh my gosh, like, it was just, season 4 was so good. And maybe because it was so good, it was going to be near impossible to live up to it, but we'll get to that in a minute. What's your thoughts on season 4?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know you were talking about season 3 being your favorite. Honestly, I think season 4 is my favorite. And I kind of knew that after watching it for the first time. And I'm going to piggyback off of some of the things you said, especially with the backstory with Vecna and the relationship with him and flushing out that backstory, his real name being Henry, him being the number 1 in the facility, that whole backstory. And out of the whole series, we had not gotten anything for that, for any of the bad guys, any of the villains. We got nothing. They were just literally mindless monsters that were after these kids. There was nothing about it except for we saw the mind flayer. Obviously there was intelligence from that being, but he wasn't like physical, he wasn't there. But then them actually giving us like this in-person, right in front of you, this evil that was just there. It made that season just broaden, honestly. And that backstory, that connecting the dots with Al and him and all of this stuff, and how the actual crack and gateway was made with the two of them. And it was so good. It was action packed. The storytelling was just hitting every little thing that they could. I mean, it was just so perfect. It was so good. And honestly, I even liked the design of Vecna, the way he sounded, the way he spoke, his overall look. I really did dig that. Like, he was like the new edition of Freddy Krueger, honestly. He was just that creepy old psycho that kind of attacked you in your mind, and but he was all like mangled and stuff. So overall, that season is just absolutely amazing. Just, it's so good. And I'm glad that they kind of went into season 5 where they didn't actually defeat him. You kind of knew he wasn't defeated. Obviously he got up and moved, and you're like, okay, this isn't done. He's just going to lick his wounds. He's going to be back. And I was happy for that, because I wanted him back. This was an evil that I actually cared about. I actually wanted to see more of. I wanted to see what else he would do, or what it took to actually defeat this character, honestly, and what kind of relations he had with the Mind Flayer, where else he came from and stuff. Like, I wanted more of that. So this season was so good, and that's why it is my favorite, honestly. Just so much going on. Like you said, that scene with Max, my favorite scene out of all of the whole series, I think, is because of that moment and that atmosphere and the music and everything. And obviously it turned into a thing on social media where people were reenacting it, playing that song, doing different things. It become a viral hit, essentially, for that scene. So it's just really, really good, and I just absolutely loved it.
Well said. That leads us into season 5, and we got season 5 in 3 parts. There was a first episode dump, a second episode dump, and then finally the last episode, which was like a 2-hour movie, essentially. Let's take it in 3 parts. The first dump of was it the first 4 episodes? I believe it was, right? It was 4, 3, 1.
Yes. Yeah.
So the first 4 episodes, I honestly thought it had some really good parts. I'm going to jump right to the end of that 4th episode when Will discovers he has powers. I thought that was awesome and kind of unexpected a little bit, at least for me. I thought it was really an epic moment and kind of cool. And usually I'm not a fan of those type of, oh, by the way, all of a sudden this happens. I think the reason why I was okay with it had nothing to do with season 5, but everything that Will went through in the 4 prior seasons. It was a very slow build of him, of this poor kid being picked on and bullied and in a way tortured. I shouldn't say in a way. He was tortured by Vecna and the Mind Flayer for all these years, and just poked and prodded, and and so to see him kind of get like a comeuppance moment, I was okay with, because I kind of felt like if there was anybody besides 11 that deserved an epic moment, it was Will. And I think so I just think it was really cool, and I think it was well deserved. And I think that's my problem with a lot of shows and movies, is that usually when something like this out of left field happens, it doesn't feel well deserved. This one actually did, which is really cool. But other than that, if I'm being honest, a lot of the first episodes, the first 4 episodes, it felt like the majority of them were kind of very slow, very fillerish. Took way too long to do all the things that they were doing. I was really shocked because at the end of season 4, Hawkins literally gets cracked in half, and you're thinking the Upside Down is going to be merging, and I didn't expect season 5 to be a season all about the collision about to happen, or how it being drawn. I kind of expected season 5 to be, hey, these things are now like one and the same. It's not, oh, hey, we can close the gate to the Upside Down, or we're safe here in Hawkins because maybe there's only a couple Demogorgons, or there's only whatever. It's like, no, I expected it to be pure pandemonium in this town, and to where the town was essentially going to be, destroyed, wiped off the map, whatever you call it. And it didn't happen. So maybe it's on me for having too different of expectations, or too high of expectations. But in my opinion, the story they decided to tell wasn't the right one. I personally feel that the story of 5 seasons of almost 10 years of storytelling should have been essentially the final war in Hawkins. It should have been more action. I dare say more unaliving, I think is the word we're supposed to use. I don't think we can say the other word because YouTube's algorithms will ban us apparently. But I want to see these things prey on the unsuspecting civilians and destroy their homes and cars. And it's weird to me that this happens, and yet people are still going to their job. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a mailman. If a crack formed in my town with an other dimensional world, I wouldn't be like, sorry guys, your ComEd bill's due. I'd be like, what the heck is going on? Like, I want him, get me the heck out of here. Like, I just, so to me, it just, the flow didn't seem right. But that's me. Eric?
No, absolutely. It was definitely a slow burn for sure, the first 4. They built up these first 4 seasons, and they left you that cliffhanger of, okay, Hawkins is basically been marked. It's got the X of all these fissures, and it's just like, okay, everything's gonna break loose. You're gonna get demo dogs everywhere. You're gonna get Demogorgons everywhere. All of this stuff. You're gonna get the bats and all that stuff. Everything is just gonna come out, and basically, the underworld is coming up and it's gonna kind of take over, kind of thing. And we didn't get that. All they did was literally just put sheets of metal over it and act like nothing happened. I was like, what? Like, no, like that, it was so weird. Like, I understand they were trying to make it more as normal as they could for the town, but like, that's not normal. Like, the ground shouldn't be glowing red. Like, that's weird. And then basically them just, quarantining the whole town, which I get they would do. But it's just, it was so weird what they did. And then it was just basically the first 3 episodes of them just kind of sneaking here and there, doing, trying to look for Vecna and see where he was at. And honestly, we didn't get to see or hear about Vecna until the very last episode of the first batch that was dropped. And he literally just walked through like there was nothing going on. It was like, there was no leading up to it. There was nothing. Like, there wasn't that build. They were looking for him. They didn't know where he went. They didn't, what he had to do to survive or heal or do whatever. There was just nothing there. It was just bare bone. And then all of a sudden they had this climactic last episode for the first batch, which was great because he comes in like the Terminator and starts, throwing people left and right and doing his thing. And that's great, and then we have the first interaction with Vecna and Joyce, and he literally just goes, whoop, and she's gone, and then he's coming for Will and kind of, says his face-to-face thing, the first time that they really got to interact with each other for the first time. So that was great. But it was a great moment for Will to finally believe in himself and really kind of beat what he thought Vecna had bestowed in him about the thinking and kind of person he was. Because honestly, I was the same way. For the first 4 seasons, I thought Will was a wuss and just was always crying, always doing this stuff. And I was like, come on, Will, do something, get into it. Be like Mike, be like Lucas, be like Dustin, take chances, do all this stuff. I was like, come on, man, do something. And we just never got it. It's like, man alive. And then all of a sudden when he got that power and was essentially turning into Will the Wise, the sorcerer, that was amazing. That was such a great episode and shot and moment for him, because he then shows that he is not weak. He is stronger than what Vecna thought he was, and literally just dispatches those demos like nothing. It was absolutely insane. I was hooting and cheering. I was like, oh man, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, let's go, and that was it. So, but yeah, the first half was good in my point of view, but the second half is where it really kind of faltered for me.
You're talking about the second episode dump, the Metal 3 episode?
Yes, the second episode.
By all means, go ahead.
Yeah, man alive. That was literally 3 episodes of filler, and it literally had this epic finale for the first half, and then just kind of went to just mellow, monotone, just boringness. And I was like, what just happened? We just got 3 episodes of just nothingness, and I was expecting so much. And like you, Joe, maybe I was expecting way too much, but what we had heard from the Duffer Brothers, I was like, oh, get ready for an epic, last season, so much things are going to happen and things are going to be connected and this and that and whatever. And I was like, okay, this is going to be great. I had theorizing about who's going to die, who's going to live, all this kind of stuff, who's going to make it to the end. And I was like, okay, and then we kind of got let down, honestly. And I was like, wow. I was like, is there any way they can redeem themselves with putting everything that they need to in one episode? I was like, God, it better be the length of an Avengers movie, because they have a lot to do and a lot to put together and a lot to really kind of redeem themselves to actually make this a really solid season. And it just didn't do it, honestly. Those 3 episodes we could have been without and would have been fine with, honestly. It just was not needed. I wanted more things to happen. I wanted more trials and tribulations for the group to go through and lead up to this final episode. We should have had somebody or a couple, possibly, not make it. Jonathan and Nancy was a perfect moment for them to kind of, but again, they got out, that should have been perfect. That kind of stuff, just they faltered and they just dropped the ball on. And I wish they wouldn't have, honestly. They just a lot of things with that last episode. Yeah. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I agree with everything. It's for as slow as I thought season 5 started with the Will getting his powers at that episode. It ended with a bang. It kind of redeemed it. I was like, okay, here we go. I was excited for the next drop, and like you said, the next drop, it was just kind of, you're sitting there and you're waiting and nothing pulled at the heartstrings. Nothing, got me invested. If anything, it took me out. And I even said to you, when I called you when I was done, and I was like, how are they going to wrap this up in 2 hours? Like, they're not going to. And I don't know. It it wasn't the action. It wasn't the, like you said, trial and tribulation. I expected there to be some kind of loss, something that motivated that team to, like, I mean, they were already, hey, we got to stop Vecna, but I expected somebody to lose and to go down, and somebody to kind of be that, Agent Coulson in the first Avengers, who had to be taken down by Loki in order to kind of unite the Avengers. And I was expecting that. I was expecting something to happen, or a battle to happen to where they lost, because I think that's the thing. At the end, put yourself in Infinity War. I remember everybody was so shocked Thanos won. My aunt called me. She lives in Hawaii, her and my uncle, and she called me and she's like, how does the bad guy win? She's like, what? I mean, it was unheard of. But guess what? It gave you that sense of they might not win. And you knew in the next film, somebody isn't making it out, because this guy is such a badass that he beat them. And he beat them. And you could tell he was trying, but was he trying? And you're like, holy crap. Like, how are they going to beat him? Vecna and the Mind Flayer never got that. They beat Vecna in season 4, which is fine because they did it pretty epically. But there needed to be something in season 5 where Vecna showed his dominance and the Mind Flayer showed his dominance. And I don't feel like that happened. There was a lot of talking, a lot of sitting around crying, and it just, I'm sitting there yelling at the TV like, guys, like, you're losing me. And according to the reaction I've seen online, you lost a lot of people,
get back up there where it should have been. So it was just kind of a, what are we doing? How are we supposed to amp this up when this is supposed to be an epic finale for 10 years in the making? And we didn't even get that. We didn't get that build up like we should have. And it's kind of disappointing.
And I get why there was a quote unquote coming out scene, because Vecna uses your fears against you. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what it's like to be a gay person. I don't. But I would imagine that it's probably very tough to come out, especially in the 80s. 80s. Like, it was a different time. I don't know what it was like. I was, I think, 1 year old when this show was set in 89. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what the 80s was like, because I don't. I know what it was like when I was growing up and now, and I feel like it's very accepting, so I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like in the 80s, 70s, 60s, whatever. So I'm sure it was very frightening. So I understand why there was the need to vocalize it. It's in order to not trample your fear, conquer your fear. And so I understand it. I just don't think it had the impact or the weight for a penultimate episode to wrap up that's not why people were watching, and that it shouldn't have been the penultimate, because I just think it didn't fit into where we needed to go for these last 2 hours. There were so many loose threads, which leads me into the final episode. Eric, would you like to go first, or you want?
Yeah, sure. That's all right. So I was talking to you about this, and I've made this reference where there was other series that were we had so much devotion, so much time given to it, and we were so let down. And I brought one up to you, and we have talked about it. And then there was another one that came to mind also. And I'll use the one that came to mind that I haven't told you. But this, in a sense, reminds me of the sequels for the Star Wars trilogy. Those were such letdowns that it was so disappointing. And I'm talking about The Force Awakens. I am talking about Rise of Skywalker and that other. I don't even care.
Last Jedi.
Yeah, I don't care, honestly. All of those ones are just, especially the Rise of Skywalker. That was such a letdown. That was the biggest disappointment of a Star Wars movie that we could have had, and it could have been the most epic Star Wars movie that we could have gotten ever. And they just, oh my gosh, I can't even. But that's what it reminded me of. Like, it built it up, built all of this going on to get this like epic ending or this epic moment between like certain characters that you really love, or these triumphant moments that you want to see, and they give you nothing. And I was like, it's so deflating, and just like, man, like I just wasted all this time for nothing, and I got no sense of pleasure out of it, honestly, or gratification out of what I just watched, because I wanted to see certain things and it did not execute at all, honestly. This last episode was so weird because, and you kind of pointed at it, and I was going to bring this up, but if you go back, you have, okay, so this episode was 2 hours and 9 minutes, okay? But really, was it though? Was it really 2 hours, 9 minutes? No, it wasn't, okay? No, it wasn't. If you go back and actually watch it, so the last 9 minutes of the actual episode are all credits, okay? 9 minutes credits, okay? So that leaves you with 2 hours now. From there, you go back, and you know what I'm talking about. There is about 21 minutes worth of goodbyes. And I was literally, after 10 minutes, I was like, what are we doing? What is going on? And why do we have to keep doing this? It was unneeded and it was boring. I understand they had to say goodbyes, but they could have done it in a different way and wrapped it up a lot faster. I hated that. Hated it. It lost me. It lost me after the first 10 minutes, and we still had another 11 to go, honestly. I really hated that. And then you take us to the fight, and it really wasn't even a fight. It was literally 3 minutes of waving your hand, and that was it. You know, it was those two where we thought we were going to get this epic battle, like we got where it was going to be Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, you know, Master versus Padawan. You know, we thought we were going to get it. No, we don't get that. We don't get El versus Vecna. We get half of El versus half of Vecna, and then Will kind of helps out. We didn't get that. You know, it was unsatisfying. I was hoping for this big, dramatic, epic battle between them, and we got nothing, honestly. That really sucked, too. The Mind Flayer's form was cool. That was awesome. I did like that. That was really great. Basically, another kaiju in another realm was really pretty awesome, but he was kind of a wuss, honestly. He was kind of a wuss. You know, he's, 30, 40, 50 feet tall, and he's kind of a wuss. So that kind of sucked. And then, it's just, I don't know. And then bringing her sister back. You know, at first I was like, oh, what was the point? You bring the sister back and she died away. Why have this big reveal with her in the previous, and she does nothing, And then there's that theory where Mike has about Elle possibly living and doing her thing, and it was her sister that cloaked her and whatever, this and that. Maybe, but it's a theory. We don't even know if it's true or not. It's just what he believes in. We don't know if it's actually real. We don't know if she actually died or not. So, and honestly, coming back to that, the unliving, it was literally only her. It was literally only the sister that was the unliving person in this whole last season, which was underwhelming. Granted, I liked a lot of these characters. Did I want them to go away and fade away into nothing? No, I didn't. But it would have meant a lot more. It would have had so much more weight, so much more meaning, and so much more dread or excitement if they were to win or lose. And it had more stakes on the line if they were to win or lose. It would have meant more if they had those certain people just kind of not make it to the end. And I'm sorry, but I like a good ending, every once in a while, but sometimes you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Okay. Like you just got to do that stuff. So, yeah, I was very underwhelmed, very disappointed in the ending. And, it really sucks, honestly, for all this time and effort and build up for this, and they just did not deliver. And I'm really kind of upset with the Duffer Brothers and what they did, honestly, because I think they should have wrote off a couple characters and actually had that kind of feeling for us. So, but without taking too much more time, why don't you give us your thoughts?
I mean, you said the word that I've felt this entire season: underwhelmed, underwhelming. Could have done more, and sacrifices add weight, and the season felt weightless. Nothing struck me, whether it was the return of Callie,
Yeah.
Will's power scene was cool. The Mind Flayer's physical form was freaking awesome. The battle was a letdown, way too fast. It was I get hive mind, okay, but why, if you kill the general, does it kill the emperor? Like, it should be the other way around, that if you kill the emperor, then the general would die. Like, so, and I get the whole, like, oh, we are one. Like, okay, like, to me, it just seemed like, I don't know if lazy writing's the word, but underwhelming, man. I mean, I expected a brutal fight with them picking up objects with their mind and throwing. I mean, Elle didn't even. The only blood Elle had was from her nose from using her powers. Yeah. And it's just honestly like killing Vecna with approximately halfway through the episode isn't the problem if you're still going to fight the Mind Flayer at the end. It's like, why? There was no point in even bringing the Mind Flayer in. I mean, you had little 115-pound Nancy racking up bullets like she's some kind of Navy SEAL special ops Green Beret Spetsnaz, like, so send her in to take out ISIS and Al Qaeda and all these, like, what, like, I don't know. It was very underwhelming. It's the word that I keep coming back to, and there was just so much more. To me, fine, kill Vecna. He had a great story in season 4. You don't feel like there's much more that you can do, so be it. But don't kill the Mind Flayer. Seal the gate. Like, your ending could have been, hey, we're going to seal it permanently, and we figured out how to seal it and trap this thing in there. Because, like Robin said, like, how are you guys going to fight Godzilla with a bunch of handguns and machine guns? Like, what? It's one of those things where it's so unbelievable, like, in an already unbelievable story. Why are you making it so much more unbelievable? Like, why even do it? Like, I don't care how many Molotov cocktails you have, or how many water balloons filled with oil or gasoline or nitrous oxide that you have. Like, it's not like, I don't know. I just very very underwhelming. I'm very disappointed. Uh, a show that what I thought was very very good, and I overall liked the seasons so much. Really really ended on a whimper. I love your analogy of the sequel Star Wars. I'm going to use a different one. Um, Game of Thrones. Uh, Such a fan of Game of Thrones, and season 7 of Game of Thrones felt so rushed and out of left field that it didn't leave me satisfied. It's kind of similar, honestly. I think that in so far in my life, as far as movies or TV shows that have let me down, I think Game of Thrones would probably be number one, and this one is a very, very close second. Um, and I mean, very close second. Like, and I only give this number two and not number one because the emotions are so high, and I've only watched season 5 one time, where I've seen I've only watched the series Stranger Things one time, where I've seen the series of Game of Thrones uh, 3, I think. So there's more. It's more fresh, more viewings in my mind. So maybe in a couple of years, my opinion will change, and I'll think that Game of Thrones is number 2, and this is number 1 after I've gone back and done a rewatch, which I'm sure I'll do. But yeah, they did not stick the landing, is my opinion. Very disappointing. Eric, I don't think we have the time to go through each character like we were going to. So I just want to ask you, overall, for the whole series, the character that's the biggest winner and the character that's the biggest loser.
Oh wow. Wow. Out of the whole series or the last? Okay.
The whole series. I mean, but let's keep it into like the main. Don't say Barb is the biggest loser because she died and never showed back up. Or who's the girl's name that Eddie gets framed for?
Chrissy.
Yeah. Like, don't say her because like they actually,
Yeah. So the biggest winner for me is Steve. I love Steve. Steve's my boy, man. I at first didn't like him, but man alive, he has the most character growth and the most going on for all the characters. It just seems like they just didn't do enough with anybody. Nobody was doing anything. Nobody was changing. Nobody was evolving, But here Steve goes from this high school jock douchebag and grows a conscience, starts helping out, and completely changes his way of life, his way of thinking, and evolving as a person. Befriends the nerdy, geeky kids that he was one to pick on, and just completely do a 180 in the whole series. He was the best overall, and I think he's a fan favorite for sure. I think for that reason, honestly. And then my loser for the whole show. I'm gonna give it to Max. Is going to be the biggest loser, because unfortunately she had the most epic scene and connection in season 4, and then in season 5 she was thrown aside, rightfully so, because obviously she came out of like a 2-year coma and she's not going to be able to move or do anything, and that's fine. That's great, but like she was a very strong presence. She has a very strong personality. Her story is interesting with her mom and her brother and stepdad and all this stuff. Like, it was very interesting. So to go through that, have a super strong series, or a series actually as a whole, when she first came in, like, I think people really loved her, but her season in season 4 was kind of her coming out season and really kind of establishing her as like one of the main, and then just kind of not being able to do anything or that much, honestly, in season 5. I wanted to see more. I wanted her to do more in that last hurrah for the fight. Honestly, they probably didn't need it because obviously they didn't really need much to kill Vecna or the Mind Flayer, because apparently they're the biggest, baddest gummy bears there ever were, and they just are not frightening at all. So a bunch of kids can kill them with trash cans and spears. So but yeah, that kind of be my winner and loser, I'd say.
Well, you took my winner. I was going to say Steve as well. I think he's one of the characters that it's funny, a lot of the characters that I liked at the beginning, that's my other problem with this season. A lot of the characters that I liked up until this season, I ended up, I don't want to say despising, but loathing. I liked Robin. I did. She came off annoying as shit to me this season. I don't know why, but she did. I was like, oh, like, and I liked her in season 2, 3, 4. Like, she was cool. Nancy, okay, she's like this sweet girl next door, and now she's like, I don't know. I just, like, I'm like, ew. I don't even want to hear you talk, you bitch, about everything. Like, oh my God, like, you're so whiny. Shut up. Like, there's a lot of characters that I liked that ended up not liking in this season at all. But Steve is my winner because when I didn't like him at first, but then once he made that heel to babyface turn, Steve was my dude the whole time. So I'm going to stick with that. You said Max. Totally understandable. She kind of got sidelined this season after having an epic season 4. But honestly, in my opinion, the same could be said for 11. I feel like she was sidelined for a lot of this season. And I'm kind of like, and where she was kind of sidelined, Will was kind of focused, Robin was kind of focused, Nancy was kind of focused. But anyways, like I said, you took mine. So I'm gonna change it all entirely and shoot. I'm gonna say something crazy, but bear with me, okay, Eric? Bear with me. Biggest winner is not going to be Steve. I'm going to give it to Joyce for the sole fact of that one scene where she chops Vecna's head off. She finally got to be the mama bear that she should have been seasons ago. Okay. Other than that, she was unbearable this season. You know what I mean? Like, but I get it, and maybe it's because I'm a new parent, but that instinct of, hey, this thing has hurt my boys, has hurt my family for years. This is the thing that tormented, so I don't mind them giving the blow to Joyce. Whatever. I think that it's, could have been different, blah, 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 all that. But because the fact that she had to watch her children, her baby children, suffer for all these years, I'm like, whatever. My biggest losers was going to be actually Vecna because of how quickly I'm changing it. My biggest winners are all the new cast that was introduced this season, and the biggest losers are all the cast that we've seen for the past 5 seasons, because it seems like they elevated all these new kids and these new characters and honestly sidetracked too many of the old ones that we've established and grown connections with over these 10 years. And I don't like that. So, I don't know. It's underwhelming, Eric. It was very disappointing. Very disappointing. Yeah. So what was yours? What was your, ours is both biggest winner is Steve for sure. I mean, he was great. He was great. I'm glad they didn't kill him. Eric and I had a little pool going on, if you will, and Steve and I, or Eric and I, both thought Steve was going to be in that. I'm glad he wasn't. I'm glad he made it. But yeah, so Steve, biggest winner, and You said Max for Biggest Loser, and I totally get that. I'm going to stick to my guns, though, and I'm going to actually say my original answer, which was Vecna Henry. I thought they did a good job of exploring him in season 4. They did an okay job expanding that a little bit further this season, but I feel like they only did it to give him a weakness, and instead of that, they should have been giving him a powerful scene. And actually, I want to throw one last thing at you before we wrap this up. When I was done, I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, I don't like how quick Vecna in the Mind Flayer." And Melissa said, she goes, "Yeah, but he had to go in that cave, and that well, you have to bleep that out. It messed with his mind, and it weakened him. He wasn't like, you saw him struggling. Like when he was just walking after those, he was sweating and he was struggling and he was exerting a lot of energy, and like him having to go through that memory. She's like, I think that weakened him. She goes, I think that's why they were able to beat the Mind Flayer and Vecna as easily, is because they were not at full power." And I was like, hey, that would be something. But it's one of those things where when they do that in a movie and you don't clearly explain, hey, we've weakened them, we've cut their power in half, we've whatever, you need to explain that. If that's the case, like sometimes things can't be left up to the imagination. Sometimes you need to actually explicitly say things. So in my head canon, I'm going with what my wife said, that Vecna and the Mind Flayer were weakened because of that cave.
I mean, I guess, but at the same time, too, like, why even show it? Why show that scene if it's not going to do anything? So that whole, he was scared of that cave, that area, because the Mind Flayer literally made him afraid. So he pushes through that fear and he overcomes it, and he gets at least into the cave, and then he gets into down in the mine shaft, and we actually get to see how it all began. He wasn't born like this. He was made into this from a stone from this other realm. Okay. The Mind Flayer didn't want him to see this because he didn't want to know that the Mind Flayer kind of did it and forced him to do all this stuff and blah, 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 this and that. So if you're showing me something like this, you're showing like a redemption story where he kind of maybe does have second thoughts. Maybe he does start thinking differently because you show that side. But ultimately, he was just like, nah, we're good. We're bros. You know, let's hug it out, man. Like, let's go crack a few beers and let's keep grabbing these kids, you know, like you like built that up a little bit to show it, and then he's just like, man, we're cool. Why even show that? Why build that? Like, it's a weakness, and yet he doesn't even think past that, where he's just like, oh, maybe, you know, this Mind Flayer is a bad being and stuff like that, and I shouldn't be following their rule and their, you know, orders and stuff. But it wasn't. He was just like, no, he's good to me. You know, he showed me how bad people are and blah, blah, blah. And then why show us this? If you're not going to show like a redemption portion, why even? So I was kind of mad about that part where it's just, it didn't make any sense of I would have liked it if he actually would have like thought about, maybe I shouldn't. And, you know, maybe I'm going to change my ways or stop, you know, and then all of a sudden, like the Mind Flayer, like takes him over even stronger or something like that, you know, something to do that. It didn't make any sense. And maybe it did weaken him a little bit mentally, probably. But obviously, you know, with them, you know, torching the crap out of the Mind Flayer, I guess that's kind of what kind of broke the camel's back.
Not to make this a Lord of the Rings ending / Stranger Things season 5 ending, but correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't even do they ever establish then if okay, so that rock or whatever that gave Henry these powers was because it was established in this season that like 11 and all of her brothers and sisters were given the powers because of Henry's blood. So that rock gave Henry the power, but like we never get explained why. We never do we ever get explained, and because it's been longer for me of seeing the prior seasons than you have. I know you and your daughters just rewatched the whole series. Do how does Henry get in with Papa, and how does the government know, everything about, what I'm saying? Like these are all questions that should have been answered in season 5. All due respect to Robin and Nancy and Will's feelings, and these kids that had to help Vecna for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all the questions that should have been answered. Like, I want to know how Henry and the doctor, Papa, whatever his name was, got together. I want to know how the government knew so much. I want to know how that stone gave him the powers. I want to know. I mean, I'm sorry, but like the mind flayer, it can't be dead. It can't be. I'm sorry. I don't think it's dead. I really don't. I think that it's still alive. I know everyone's using the "I believe" hashtags. I believe the Mind Flayer is still alive, and we will get a spin-off series with its return, and it's going to go after a bigger, better host. I don't know whether it's going after 11 or one of the other surviving kids or something. I don't know, but there's so many unanswered questions that should have been the focal point of. Oh, also, we didn't even talk about this. Linda Hamilton. Why'd you bring her in? Where is she? What happened? Like what? Like you realized, oh crap, we probably shouldn't have killed the doctor from last season, so we need somebody to fill that role. So Linda Hamilton, here you go. Also, you're going to see in this scene, and then you're just going to be gone. We're not sure where you went or what you're doing, but like because 11 left, the government just left. They never questioned the kids. They never held them in confinement. Nothing. Like there's just
even the biggest question: who was that scientist? Why did he have the briefcase, and where did it come from? Why was he in an old mine shaft with this extraterrestrial rock? Where did that come from? We don't know, but he killed him and he got the power. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Too many untied ends and just made no sense. And I agree. You're bringing in Linda Hamilton. She was the best villain in this season because you hated her. You were like, oh, you are just terrible woman. Like you really hated her. You literally used her for half the season. Like, okay, the other half's for Vecna. What? And then there's nothing else. Like it's like they almost didn't know what to do with so many people. They didn't know what to do with, so they're just like they just kept adding people. And then you bring in, we haven't even touched base with Holly, a brand new character, which literally gave the spotlight to her because it was all about her getting away from Vecna. It was basically like Max and her swap places, going through this journey, trying to get away from Vecna and whatever. And then, why did he need kids? Oh, because they're weak-minded and small? What? Like, come on. Like, there has to be more to it than that.
Yeah.
But we never knew why. He was always, why Holly? Why not get somebody else? How many kids he could have picked? Why Holly? Why Derek? Why any of these kids? Why these particular ones? Was there something connecting them? Was there something more that we weren't seeing? Again, unexplained. A lot of that was unexplained. A lot of loose ends. Just a lot of things. I don't know if that was on purpose because they're going to do a spinoff. They have that animated series coming up also. Maybe that's more things that are going to be doing. I don't know. But, like you said, underwhelming.
There's so much that we haven't touched on, and honestly, so much more we could. It they just they introduced too much new, and the season that was supposed to be wrapping up too much. I'll give you another great example. Um, uh, the Demigorgon attacks Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. He uh, you don't even see Mr. Wheeler until the very end scene at the graduation.
Yeah.
You're like assumed that he's dead. You are led to believe that he died from that attack, and that his kids and his wife did not give a shit that he died. He is not mentioned. Oh, mom, what about your dad? Miss Wheeler, she it takes an army battalion to take down a Demigorgon, but some wino mom can crack a bottle off at the counter and take one down. Come on, like, oh my gosh, like it cringe. It's so dumb. There way too many things introduced, way too many characters introduced in the season that's supposed to be the last. They knew they had to wrap it up with Vecna and the Mind Flayer, and they did it in a shitty way, and it's really unfortunate because it was like, if you are doing spinoffs, here's the thing: if you are going to do a spinoff, I don't like how. Like, I don't want to see, I don't know, Holly or Nancy and Jonathan and Robin and Steve on a spinoff show where they're chasing down a Demigorgon by itself. Like, I don't care, because you killed the bad guys. The demos have been established as kind of like fodder, foot soldiers. Like, I don't know. Very disappointing. All right. With that, we rambled, and honestly, there is so much more I could talk about, and I think you could too. Overall, the series, the first 4 seasons, I would give really solid, probably like 7.5, 8, 9 stars out of 10. Very, very good seasons. Season 5, I'll be honest, final rating out of 5 stars or out of 10 stars, Eric. For me, if let's say 5 stars, 10 stars too much. I'd say the first season 1 is probably 5 out of 5. Season 2 is probably a 2.5 out of 5. Season 3 is probably a 4 out of 5. Season 4 is probably a 4.5 out of 5. Season 5 is honestly like a 1 out of 5 for me. Very, very disappointing. What I liked about it, I really liked examples we've stated. The design of the Mind Flayer, seeing his organic body, was freaking awesome. Honestly, you know what? I'm just going to say it. We're all thinking it. The best part of this season was the Mind Flayer being called Godzilla. That was the best part.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Eric, final thoughts, final rating for season 5.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with you. It's gonna be a 1 out of 5. It's just it didn't do it for me. The buildup was lackluster and just it wasn't there. All this, basically, we were lied to about the writers of how epic it's gonna be. How many things are gonna be tied in. You better watch this and this episode to know what's going on. You didn't have to. You really didn't. It's almost like it was almost like they just kind of wanted to get through and end it and just get done with it. Honestly, the overall acting wasn't even that great. It's just kind of, even the actors, kind of, some of them seemed like they were kind of already a foot out the door. They're like, they were just done with it, wanted to do something else, and just kind of were there to finish. And kind of sucks because some of them put on good performances. And honestly, another thing real quick is that the emotional parts of season 5 didn't even hit me at all. They were not impactful. They were not powerful because you knew nothing was going to happen. Even at the end, when it's all the goodbyes, all the, let's do this, let's do whatever. none of it was really impactful. The only impactful part, I would say, out of the most emotional parts was when they were playing their last D&D game together, and Mike gave his story about Elle, and then they leave, put all their books away, and then all of a sudden Holly and her friends come down, and it's like the new generation is taking over and playing D&D, and they're moving on with their lives because they're going to be moving out, moving away. They're not going to be able to do it like they used to. So they played one last campaign, last hurrah, last goodbye. That was a little emotional. Other than that, any other part that they tried to do was not there. Unlike the other seasons, it was a lot more powerful. So there just was no emotion. And then season 4, to me, it's 5 out of 5. That's, like I said, my favorite season out of all. Number 3 is probably 4 out of 5. 2 is probably 2 out of 5, and 1 is probably a 3 out of 5. So that'd be my rankings for the seasons overall. But yeah, just kind of overall, the series was pretty good, and then just a big letdown for the final season and final episodes, and just the overall everything was just kind of blah. So
I agree. Well, I had fun with this. Definitely went a lot longer than we thought we would. We thought we'd have this wrapped up in 20, 30 minutes, but man, were we wrong. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. We are the Monsters with Attitude. I am Joe Mama. This is the Bearded Kaiju, Eric Stolp. We will come at you guys live and do many fun things on this channel. We appreciate it all. Do us all a huge favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you guys like seeing our live, raw, off the cuff, shooting from the hip reviews, we are going to be planning on doing more of these throughout the year, and I'm kind of excited to be doing this. Random topics, not just Godzilla, not just Power Rangers, not just anime. It's going to be everything. So check us out. We really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, Eric. Thanks for joining me on this fun little Stranger Things journey. There's much more to talk about. I think one day we might have to revisit this. The whole series as a whole one day when I've rewatched it all, just as fresh as like you have, and maybe just have a quick little banter back and forth, just the two of us. It's fun. Thanks guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Around here we got a little phrase, a little motto, a little verbiage. Eric.
It is one phrase, 3 words. Embrace the attitude.